The literature of ancient Egypt reflects its bountiful culture, beliefs, and values of its people. It includes epic tales, religious hymns, prose, and poetry. One of the most profound literary works is the Egyptian Book of the Dead. This is a collection of spells, instructions, passages, and prayers that were put in the tombs of the deceased to assist them transit into the afterlife. The collection of spells and instructions were written on a papyrus, which could measure up to many meters. A papyrus is a reed that grows in the Nile Delta that was made into a paper-like substance to help you writing in ancient times. The practice of putting items into the coffin or tombs of the dead is an act that is quite popular in numerous tribes across the African continent. For instance, in the Akan ethnic group of West Africa, money, specifically coins, is put in a coffin to enable the dead pay their fare in crossing to the invisible world. In some extreme cases, knives are put into the coffin to allow the dead seek revenge if there is the belief that the cause of death is not natural. Initially, the Book of the Dead was not one compiled book. It was an independent series of spells that were later compiled, numbered, and ordered into one. There are numerous books of the dead depending on whom it is written for. The earliest sets of spells were found on the walls around 1570 to 1069 BC in the pyramids and were known as the pyramid text. These texts were mainly written and used by Egyptian royals. The second set of spells were found in the tombs of the richest class of society, while the final set of spells were extended to the servant and other commoners. In all over Egypt, the dead were taken good care of and prepared to journey into the afterlife while going through all the required processes. So we ask today, what is the Book of the Dead and how was it significant to the Egyptians in the past? Ancient Egyptians had a rich culture, tradition, and belief system. Aside pharaohs who were regarded as half-gods on earth, they believed in gods and goddesses who ruled over various aspects of life, including music, death, floods, fertility, sun, sky, chaos, arts and craft, and war, amongst many others. A part of this belief system also centered largely on the afterlife or the invisible world. These deities, numbered to about 2,000, were crucial to the success and prosperity of the ancient Egyptian civilization. The gods and goddesses had names, individual personalities, and identities, and even though they all had their areas of expertise, they were still associated with several other spheres of human existence. Many of the well-known deities include Isis, Osiris, Horus, Ra, Bastet, Thoth, Anubis, Amit, Amenet, and Mat. For the purposes of our mission on the Egyptian Book of the Dead, we shall throw more light on the gods who are directly involved with deceased souls who are bound to sail through the invisible world or afterlife. Osiris is one of the most important Egyptian deities because he is the lord of the underworld and the judge of the dead. Osiris means powerful and mighty. He is the son of Geb, the Egyptian god of earth, and Nut, goddess of the heavens. In Egyptian culture, Osiris was captured as a handsome man with black or green skin, the green skin or crown of Upper Egypt on his head, while carrying a crook and flail in his arms. The crook and flail were Egypt's foremost emblems of royalty and authority. The green or black skin also represents his association with agriculture, rebirth, and vegetation. Osiris's primary role was to preside over the weighing of the heart of the deceased soul to ascertain whether it was righteous or not. Mat is the Egyptian goddess of truth, balance, harmony, and justice. She is the wife of Thoth and daughter of sun god Ra. Egyptian belief that it is Mat who brought in harmony amidst chaos and disorder when the universe was created. She is often depicted as a young beautiful woman seated or standing. The feather of an ostrich is her primary symbol. In addition, she holds a scepter in one hand and an ankh in the other. In many other depictions, she is seen wearing the ostrich feather in her hair while having a pair of wings attached to her arms. In her role as goddess of truth and justice, the soul of the dead is weighed against Mat's ostrich feather. Mat is honored all over Egypt, not only as a goddess, but as a principle. She is celebrated and worshipped with wine, food, and incense. Thoth is referred to as the Egyptian god of the moon, writing, and wisdom. He is known to be the divine record keeper, advisor to the gods, and settler of disputes. The Egyptians call him Jehuti, and the Greeks know him as Hermes. Thoth is described as a man with the head of an ibis with a human body. He could also be depicted in animal form as an ibis and also as a baboon, sometimes crowned with a lunar disc and crescent. Thoth is said to have invented writing and was believed to be the patron of scribes. As the messenger of the gods, he often served as the link between the lands of the living and the dead. Also, the responsibility for writing was shared with the goddess Seshet. Thoth was Sangor-Ra's most trusted advisor, and so was tasked with recording all that happened. As a just and incorruptible record keeper, he was viewed as a judge without equal. During the weighing of the hearts of souls, Thoth records what the findings or results are. Whether the heart of the deceased soul is lighter or heavier than Ma'at's feather of truth, Thoth will record it as it is. He and Osiris presided over the judgment of the dead in the hall of truth. Because of this, he is more than a mere observer. Thoth was the enforcer of Ma'at, or cosmic order. Anubis is one of the earliest Egyptian gods who is a guide to the afterlife, or underworld. He is that god who guards tombs and is the god of mummification and funerary rites. Mummification is the process that ancient Egyptians used to preserve bodies after death for the afterlife. This is done by drying or putting balm on the flesh. Anubis is depicted as a muscular man with the head of a black dog. Black symbolizes the decay of a body, as well as the fertile soil of the Nile River Valley, which represented regeneration and life. The Egyptian goddess Ammit can also be known as Amut or Ahimet. Her name means the devourer of souls or devourer of millions. Ammit's sole responsibility was to sit beside the scales of Ma'at, ready to eat up the souls of those deemed unworthy. Unfortunate souls who failed the judgment of the dead would have no chance of the blissful life in the field of reeds. Ammit is described as a demon with the head of a crocodile, the torso of a lion, and the legs of a hippopotamus. However, she also took human form whenever she felt like it. The Egyptian Book of the Dead first appeared in the Old Kingdom between 2700 and 2200 BC, but the text evolved from a long tradition of magical funerary writing. Most of the writings of the book are from the pyramid text, the coffin text, and the site compilation. The oldest copy can be found in the tomb of Unas, the 6th dynasty pharaoh. The pyramid text contained important information about how pharaohs can survive in the afterlife. During this period, only pharaohs could have texts carved on their tomb so they can have a good afterlife. In effect, they were especially written for pharaohs to join the sun god Ra. The coffin texts were written between the 18th and the 21st dynasties and compiled during the Middle Kingdom, somewhere between 2030 and 1640 BC. Priests carved portions of these texts on coffins and furniture. Each spell in the text received its own in order of its use. Priests also placed amulets carved with portions of the text in certain places on the body to ensure the soul's well-being. The difference between the pyramid text and these ones is that the coffin texts are used specifically for higher-ranked members in the Egyptian society. Family members and friends of the higher-ranked individuals in the society are also allowed to use these texts. The text of the site compilation in the Book of the Dead was first developed in the 26th dynasty. It was continually used throughout the Ptolemaic period as between 305 to 30 BCE. These texts extended to the servant and other commoners in Egypt. The first spell that describes a soul's journey to the underworld is known as the opening of the mouth ceremony. It is performed on the mummy to allow the spirit of the deceased to see, speak, hear, breathe, and to receive offerings of food and drink. These offerings were made by Amnet. In this ceremony, special ritual tools such as the pesheshkaf is used to touch the mouth and the eyes of the mummy, or an image representing the deceased, to enable their spirit to receive food and drink. This is also done to allow them breathe and see. The seshkaf was a spoon or fishtail shaped knife formed from a wide range of materials including gold, carnelian, glass, obsidian, and flint. The next spell in the Book of the Dead describes the weighing of the hat ceremony. In the Egyptian spirituality and culture, the human hat is considered the most important organ of all. It is so because to the Egyptian, hat is the center of emotion, memory, and thought. In order for any soul to make it to the afterlife or the underworld, they had to go through this ritual. The purpose of this ritual was to determine whether the deceased hat was heavy or light. A heavy hat is one with sin and considered impure, while a light hat is one without sin and therefore considered not sinful. More so, only the judges could determine what is sinful and what is not. If the hat was heavy, they were stuck out from the underworld forever or eaten up by Amit. If a soul had a light hat, they were able to go to eternal happiness in the afterlife, the land of the two fields or the field of reeds. Before the weighing of the hat, the soul of the dead is required to recite a negative confession. This ceremony takes place within the Hall of Two Truths in the presence of Osiris, Mat, Anubis, and Thoth. The 42 principles of Mat were to be declared by the soul of a deceased individual. The divine principles included assertions such as, I have not told lies, I have not worked evil, I have not stolen that which belongs to the gods, I have not falsely accused anyone. After this confession, the hat of the deceased is weighed on a scale against the feather of the goddess Mat. If a hat weighed lighter than the feather, it was considered pure and offered happy passage into the underworld. A hat that weighs heavier than the feather was considered evil and devoured immediately by Amit, while Thoth writes down the findings of the weighing of the hat. Hunefer was a royal scribe and general overseer of royal cattle for Sertai I around 1310 BCE. A scribe is someone who has been employed to write, document, and keep records. Because of Hunefer's position, he was close to the pharaoh Sertai I. This relationship with the pharaoh earned him his own special book of the dead after he died. The papyrus of Hunefer can currently be found in the British Museum, where his judgment has been illustrated and kept beautifully. Like all souls during judgment, Hunefer had to recite the negative confessions in the presence of all the gods at the ceremony. This was to convince the gods that he had lived a just life. During the weighing of Hunefer's hat, Anubis led him to the scale and adjusted the scale properly so it was well balanced. The hat of Hunefer was placed on the scale with Mat's feather and weighed lighter than the feather. This meant that Hunefer had indeed lived a just life while on earth and in his duties to Sertai I as a scribe. It also meant that Hunefer's hat could not be eaten up by Amit. Thoth was present throughout the whole process and recorded everything he saw. If a soul's hat weighs lighter than Mat's feather, it is considered pure and therefore has passed its test. The field of reeds was the final destination for such soul. The field of reeds is known to be a place devoid of sickness, disappointment, hatred, envy, and jealousy. The souls lived happy ever after with the gods of the underworld. In the end, we realized in this mission that the Book of the Dead revealed the core aspects of the ancient Egyptians' belief system. In addition to clearly describing the afterlife and the roles of the gods, the book also gives insight into the concept of the soul living on after death, a predominant feature in the culture of African tribes. Without the information, spells, and answers contained in the book, the ancient Egyptians had the belief that their souls might be lost forever. Today, Egyptians still value the Book of the Dead as part of their cultural heritage, as it stands as witness to their beliefs and practices.